We're going to go ahead and get rocking and rolling. Welcome, everybody. Today is our Photoshop users group meeting. We have a fantastic presentation. So many of us, now this is good for artists, artists, photographers, whoever you are. This is an amazing product. It's called Mylio. And Angela is here to introduce us as to what Mario is. It's this organization platform where if you're using Lightroom, the way that I explain what Mylio is something that Lightroom wish it could be. If you guys use Lightroom, so I think you're going to find this presentation very, very interesting. So, what I would like to do, Andrew, why don't you share with us who you are and your background and what you hope to share with us today?
Sure. So actually, if you want to go ahead and switch over to my deck, I've got like a whole little introduction section in there. That way I'm not repeating myself when I go through my slides. But today what we're going to do is talk about capture to backup and beyond. So I want to go through everything from once you get your pictures to the computer, what to do with them, how to keep them organized, and then how to access them from all of your devices. And I'm going to give you a preview of what's coming in the next version of Mylio, which is really exciting. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Angela, and I'm a fine art photographer. I'm also a photography coach and workflow consultant. What that means is I help people fine tune and get their workflow in order. Everything from organizing Lightroom libraries to helping them figure out their folder systems, make sure things are backed up. And I do also some coaching on different software as far as editing and all sorts of fun stuff. So really what I do is help translate tech for people into terms they can understand as an artist and make these things possible for them. So in addition to that, I'm also a senior product evangelist at Mylio. So that's my day job. I work for Mylio and I teach people how to use their software. So I do everything from technical documentation, I do product testing, I do focus groups, I do live streams 3 to 4 times a week, and just basically help people be successful with Mylio. And with that comes, again, teaching people how to get things organized, make sure their stuff is backed up, and how to use different editing products with Mylio and make sure they have a really smooth and successful workflow. I've been doing this type of work for over 15 years and really love working with other photographers and creatives to help them manage their libraries. So that's a little bit about me. What else would you like to know, Steve?
Nope, it's all yours.
All right. Well, let me go ahead and just put this out here at the beginning because I like a conversation as opposed to just like me feeling like I'm talking to a screen. So please put your questions into the chat. Stephen, if you have questions or comments throughout, please feel free to interrupt me. I actually thrive on having things be a little bit more interactive rather than just, you guys looking at a slide presentation or watching me do stuff. Talk to me. It makes this a lot more fun and a lot more interesting. So where we're going to start here is why bother with organizing your library? A lot of us, we've been training for years and years and years to create the perfect piece of art. And most of us, we're still learning. It's every day. But we've spent a lot of time and energy focusing on crafting the perfect edit. But a lot of us tend to ignore where those files live. And then later on, when we're going and trying to find them, that's when things get really confusing, hectic. And then, God forbid, you have a hard drive crash or a computer crash, or maybe even something worse, your house gets broken into and all of your computer gear is stolen, or there's a natural disaster. What do you do when you're trying to find something that you need? So what we're going to talk about today is some solutions to make these things work smoothly so you can find your edits later, make sure that they're safe, and be able to get to the stuff you need when you need them. So we're going to go through today a system that will help you organize your photos. We're going to talk about some nuts and bolts of file naming and folder naming and having a good hierarchy for your stuff. We're going to discuss backups and the difference between sync and backup. And this is something that a lot of people confuse or conflate. And it's really easy to understand once you really think about it, but it's not something that's really at the front of people's minds, and it absolutely should be. We're then going to start transitioning into talking about Mylio specifically and how you can have your entire library on every device, working with all the tools that you need, that you already rely on, and work with a cross-platform solution that is cloud independent. And what I mean by that is Mylio does not require you to put everything into the cloud. You certainly can if you want to, but it is not something you have to do. So that alone can be a huge cost savings for a lot of people. And then finally, we're going to wrap up the end of the day looking at some of the changes that are coming to Mylio later this year. Right now, we're working on getting what we're calling the Mylio preview out the door, which is going to be a test application. So you can download it, play with it. Let us know what you think. Let us know what works, what doesn't, what you think is missing. And all of that feedback is going to go to our release later this year, which we're expecting probably October, November. And it's going to be awesome. But I've got, we'll call it an alpha version up on my computer now that I'm going to show you guys later and give you an idea of what we've been working on. We've taken over 2 years of customer feedback and rebuilt this application from the ground up. So I'm going to start off by showing you what Mylio can do today and then what's coming later this year, which I'm really, really excited about. So to make this a little bit more interesting, I do want to let you know that we're going to have a giveaway at the end of today's session. I'm going to give away 2 licenses for Mylio Photos Plus. These are $240 value each, and you must be present to win. And instead of doing something like a random number generator or pick a number, instead we're going to reward the people who are the most interactive here. So if you're giving us thoughtful comments and feedback and useful questions and so forth, that is who we're going to give these 2 away to. So if you have questions as we're going, if you want to be part of the conversation, and you're really interested in winning a free year of Mylio Photos, please make sure you go ahead and interact in the chat. Stephen and I will both be keeping an eye on that to see who's going to be our winners today. So that brings us to actually getting into the meat of the presentation. And so we're going to talk about what is the foundation for this whole system to work. And by system, I'm not talking about Mylio specifically or any one computer. We're talking about making sure everything in your library is safe and secure so you can always have access to it. The basis of that is your 3-2-1 backup. Now, most of you have probably heard about this, and this is 3 copies of your data on at least 2 different types of storage with one of them off-site. For me, this looks like my phone and my camera, all of those images going into my computer and external storage, so I have a distinct copy of them separate from, like, say, my camera roll, my phone. All of that comes into a copy that I control. From there, that goes into, I'm on Mac, so I'm using Time Machine, but you could use File History on Windows, you could use a Carbon Copy Cloner, something, whatever you're using for your local backups, have a system backup that has everything on it separate from your working files. That's going to be your first line of defense. Next up, you have your offsite storage. I happen to like Backblaze quite a lot. I really, really highly recommend them. And that is cloud storage that runs in the background. And the key to all of this is it's automated. Once stuff comes into my computer, Time Machine automatically picks it up. And once it's on my computer, Backblaze automatically picks it up. And that's, having that system in place gives me a lot of peace of mind, knowing that every eventuality is kind of covered here. So if my computer crashes or I have my primary storage crash, I have my Time Machine here locally. I can rebuild and be back up and running very, very quickly. If something were to happen, I live on the edge of a nature preserve. California is prone to wildfires. I want to know that if something happens to my home, I can restore from Backblaze. So in that eventuality, I don't have to worry about trying to grab my computers and everything to get out of the house. Instead, I focus on the things that really matter, like grabbing my pets, grabbing other heirlooms. And my computer, you know what? It's a bummer if I lose it, but all of my important stuff is backed up to the cloud, and I can restore from that if necessary. Now, like I said, most of you probably already know this. The real question is it running? And if not, why not? I would love to hear from you guys in the chat. Tell me what you guys have in place for your backups if you're using them. And let me know what you think if you feel like your stuff is really and truly secure. Stephen, what's your backup situation?
What's my bad? Well, basically, I kind of do it in house. So I kind of create a my own little personal server here, which I back up
Right.
all of my stuff on the hard drives. Although I love this concept with Mylio, and seriously considering of putting actually making the jump to revising my workflow toward the Mylio workflow.
Excellent. Well, that is a good part of it. And, some of the stuff I'll talk about later on with what's coming later this year and early next will give us that true backup. But there's the difference I mentioned earlier between sync and backup, which we'll talk a little bit more. But before we dive into that, a lot of times, like I said, the reason people fail at backups is because it's not because they're hard to understand, it's because they're tedious. So by automating things, in my case, let's say Time Machine and Backblaze, and then also another layer of protection with Mylio and my vaults, I have different things in place that run in the background that I don't have to think about. The more buttons you have to push to accomplish something on a regular basis, the more holes there are, the more likelihood of failure and of error. So automate as much of this process as you can. You automate it and you remove the tedium and you create a plan that actually sticks. So syncing is not a backup. And this is where a lot of people stumble. How's this sound, Stephen?
Great.
So syncing is a copy. And having multiple copies is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. Because if you have your phone, for instance, saving to Apple Photos or Google Photos, and you lose your phone, most likely most of your images have backed up to that cloud. You can restore from it. So that is definitely a level of protection. But it doesn't protect you from yourself. And the story I always tell is one that I heard when I first joined Mylio. And it was a person who had an iPad that she wasn't using anymore, and she decided to give it to her auntie for her to use. Now, her auntie is not a very technologically inclined person, but she can poke around on an iPad, and she thought that was a pretty safe thing to do. But she left it logged in to her Apple iCloud account, which meant that all of her photos were sitting on that iPad. And then auntie, as she was using this iPad, went in and as she was using it, filled up the storage on this one. It was an older iPad, didn't have a lot of storage. So when it popped up and said, hey, would you like to free up some space? Here's what's taking up all this space. She goes, oh, these aren't my photos. I can delete these. Well, unbeknownst to the lady who loaned her the iPad, she went in and deleted almost everything out of that iCloud library. And this poor lady who loaned her aunt her iPad did not realize that within the 30 days that you have to restore from Apple's trash, which meant that all of the pictures of her kids when they were young were gone. This is the scary part of not having a copy that you control, because sync copies your mistakes. And by syncing, you're copying any mistake you make. If you delete something accidentally, it is synchronizing that change across all of your devices. So backup gives you something that's version that you can go back to. And why I like, say, the Time Machine and Backblaze scenario is Time Machine gives me, back to the time that I plugged in that drive. So every time I get a new computer, I get a new Time Machine drive. So my computer that I've had for 3 years, I have 3 years of version history I can go back to. With Backblaze, that has only a 30-day history. But again, that's for your disaster recovery. Hopefully you never need that your Time Machine does what it needs to. But the thing to understand here is that redundancy protects you from a dead drive. Versioning protects you from yourself, and you definitely want to have both. So, Steve, when you look at Mylio, Mylio is sync. The way it operates today is sync. So it takes all of your media, and you can have multiple copies, which is a good thing. But you also want to have that system backup that backs up everything in case, basically protecting you from yourself. So do you have Backblaze? If not, you really should.
All right, I'll look into it.
You totally should. I recommend it for everybody, honestly. And I've had a lot of clients over the years who have had to, for whatever reason, whether it's been a hard drive crash or something worse, they have had to restore from it. And it's like almost every time I give this presentation, people tell me, oh yeah, I've had to do that. It's awesome. Worth every single penny. I don't work for Backblaze. This is just me as another user telling you this is an awesome, awesome service. So now that we've talked about organization, and Stephen, are you seeing any comments pop up? Because I'm not seeing anything come up.
Nothing yet.
Okay.
Nothing, yeah, if people make comments, they'll pop up. Or sometimes, a lot of times, people just are watching. Or
Okay.
I mean, people are,
I would love to see some questions here as we go through. So that makes it a lot more fun. Okay. So organizing for your future self. Now this is getting into the nuts and bolts of what you see in your file system. And we're going to start with your folder structure. The goal is to make a folder structure that is future-proof and not dependent on any one application. The way that I recommend is to use a date-based system. So you're going to have a top-level folder that's photos or working files or whatever you want to call it. And then underneath that, you're going to have each year. And underneath each of those years, you're going to have subfolders for, depending on how much you shoot and what you create, you could have a subfolder for a month. Was there a question?
Not yet.
Oh, sorry. I thought I heard you say something. I'm sorry. All right. So you're going to have underneath that, you're going to have subfolders. You could say a subfolder for a month. Or for me, what I do is a subfolder that is a description of each day. So for me, I do a top level photos. I have the year, 4-digit year. And then under that is the 4-digit year, month, day, and a short description. So if I was taking pictures of me doing this presentation today, that would be underneath my photos folder, 2026, and it would be 2026-0808 SDPUG. So the nice thing about this is whether you're looking at this in an application or in your folder system, the date first sorts itself. So any app, any system, the folder structure works. And by adding the short description to the date, having just the date is good. The short description is what allows you to go into the folder system and at a glance know exactly what you're looking at. And this works with almost any organization app, and basic organization shouldn't be reliant on any single application. So whether you are a Bridge user, whether you're a Lightroom user or Mylio user, this particular folder structure will work. The only time that this doesn't really serve you is if you're doing something very simple like everything goes into Apple Photos. In that instance, it's going into a black box that you have no control over that structure. And I don't necessarily recommend that for your primary storage. So keep that in mind. This is a structure that can work with you no matter what system you're using. Taking that a little bit further is the names that you name your files. And having a file name that makes sense makes it a lot harder to lose stuff. If you have just something that is IMG123, you end up with potential file collisions because every time you say get a new iPhone, that naming system starts over. So you have the potential for naming collisions. You also have a file name that means absolutely nothing. You have to actually open it to have any idea what's in that file. So as you're importing and you're putting things into your folder structure, take that same naming convention and do your year, month, day, a short description, and then the file number. So again, today's would be 260808 SDPUG 1234.cr3. A good name has the context and you know what it is, even if it gets saved outside of your normal file structure. So you can always get it back when you know what it is. It makes it just so much easier. And the way that I recommend doing this is up front when you edit. And the screenshots I have up here are for Lightroom, but you can do this with Bridge. You can do this with Capture One. You can do it with Mylio. Just about every good image management application out there has tools for you to rename on import. So when you're bringing media into your library, set up a template for that date, shoot, and number. So the shoot name, I can go ahead and type that in every time I'm doing an import. So I would put in here SDPUG for stuff for today. I leave the extension as is, and that gives me that consistent renaming pattern. I also like to add my copyright metadata. Again, this might be put into your files directly from your camera, but I like to go ahead and do it here. I can put in a little bit more information than I can just directly from my camera. So I have a preset set up with my metadata. You can do an IPTC card in Mylio. You can have these things set up and automated in Bridge or whatever other system you're using. So add in that copyright information up front. That way it's done.
So this is very similar to what you do in Lightroom, right?
Yep, exactly. So these are screens actually from Lightroom, but you can do this in Mylio, you can do this in Bridge, you can do it in whatever system
Okay.
you're using.
Okay.
Yep. And then keywording. I am not very militant about keywording everything, but when I'm bringing in a particular shoot, I do like to add a couple of broad keywords that describe it because, again, that's helping me find it later. Later on during my post-processing workflow, once I have done my editing and I've rated things usually like a 4 or 5 star, I will then take the time to add more detailed keywords. But I only take the time to do that on my best images. It's not really worth the time to do it on everything, but just a handful of basic keywords here typically gives you enough to be able to find that. And especially combined with AI today and image object recognition and scene recognition and so forth, it makes things really, really easy to find. So those 3 things are the things when you import your stuff, it'll save you a ton of time. It'll get things into the right folders, named, so you can find them later. Are there any questions so far? That's all pretty self-explanatory, I think.
Oh yeah, no questions yet.
All right, cool. So now let's talk a little bit about Mylio. And the thing I love about Mylio is it lets me have one library that I can access on every single device. And by every device, I mean I can pull up my library on my phone, I can pull it up on my iPad, I can pull it up on my laptop, I can pull it up if I have a separate desktop computer, I can have it on every single device that I have. And it allows me to access my original quality files from every single device. It also gives me one source of truth. So with everything coming into one library, everything is in one place. So I don't have to go into a separate silo for my iPhone photos. And with how good our phones have gotten in recent years, I've gotten some really great images out of my phone. And it's a shame that I have to go dig them out from my phone library and they're not in my main photo library. So by using something like Mylio, I can bring everything into one place. And Mylio, in addition to all of your pictures, it also supports videos and some documents. So the next thing here is finding your stuff. Once you have everything into one huge library, it feels kind of daunting, but Mylio's got some great tools in there to help you find what you need. In addition to your good organization skills that hopefully you're going to implement going forward, it also has AI object recognition. It has OCR, so it can find text and photos. It's got all sorts of good stuff. It searches all of your metadata. So have good organization. AI helps, but we're humans, so making sure you're adding in keywords, those file names, things like that, it's going to make sure that you're able to find what you need. One of the great things about Mylio is it is cross-platform. You can use it on Mac, Windows, iOS, and Android. Even coming later this year, we're going to have a Linux version. We're going to have headless NAS, which is going to be run on that Linux basis. And we're also going to have a web version. So it's going to be very, very accessible. But today, the application that you can download and use is on Mac, Windows, iOS, and Android. Another great thing here is it uses standard XMP metadata. So all of the metadata you've added, used, and worked with in, say, Bridge or Lightroom or elsewhere, as long as it's in an XMP file, Mylio can read it. Those files in Mylio are in your folders. You're not locked in. This is not a black box or proprietary system. It works with what's on your system, what's in your file system, and everything is open. Your files are yours. Mylio doesn't physically hold any of it. So how Mylio handles your files. What it does is when you add media to Mylio, you have 2 options. You can do an add or a copy, or you can do a link. If you want to add or copy media into Mylio, what it's doing is it's putting it into a folder that Mylio creates, which is an open folder on your hard drive. You can go ahead and look at it anytime. It's not anything proprietary or black box. It's just a folder that Mylio creates and says, hey, this can be your default place to put stuff. So if you do a copy or a move, that's where things go. If you already have a folder system that works for you, you can link it. So you just go to that top level folder and tell Mylio, watch this folder. Your folders stay exactly as you organize them. And then it allows you to view and sync your library across all of your devices. And I mentioned earlier that this is what we call cloud independent. So it uses a peer-to-peer connection. What happens is when you log into Mylio on, say, your phone and you have it on your computer, both of those devices will go up to the Mylio cloud, do a handshake to authenticate that you are who you say you are, that both devices are logged in. And then it allows those two devices to create that peer-to-peer connection where they talk directly to each other. If you do choose to use the cloud, you have the option to encrypt all of your data. So if you want to use Microsoft OneDrive or Google Drive or an S3 cloud service, and you don't want these companies to be able to see your data mine from your stuff, you can encrypt it. So again, you have to be logged into a Mylio account on one of your Mylio devices to access those files. It's really brilliant, and it's a very, very nice privacy-centric way to store your stuff. On any given device that you have, you can decide what size of file is stored there. So by default, it's going to synchronize your thumbnails and your metadata to every single device. You're going to be able to see your folder structure and interact with it. But those originals, once they're into your system, you can decide to have those stored on what we call vaults. I'll talk about that in a second, but you can have, say, all of your originals and working files on an external hard drive, and then your laptop, your phone, your tablet have optimized images or thumbnails. So depending on the size of the device and how much storage is available, you can decide what's there. And then going into vaults for a little bit, a vault with Mylio is any device that you designate to hold your entire library. So what it does is that device, once you designate it as a vault, whenever you bring in new media, it keeps a full-size, full resolution copy of that file on your vault. And Mylio recommends having 2 vaults. And again, this is to protect you. It's that replication. So if one of the drives dies that has your vault on it, you have a second one that keeps you up and running. Get a new drive, plug in your new drive, Mylio will sync to it, and then you will be back to having 2 vaults. So it's a really great way to handle your media and keep everything consolidated into one place that you can then hand off to different machines if you need to. It's very, very elegant. I also mentioned that Mylio is local first and privacy focused. This is probably the thing that I love most about Mylio, is the fact that it's local first. So many systems out there these days really rely on the cloud, and the cloud is a brilliant tool. It makes it really easy to access things, and it does give you some of that off-site security. But if you don't have your own copy and you're relying on someone else's cloud to hold all of your stuff, you're opening yourself up to some other risks. So by having your own local copy, one that you control, if a company whose cloud you're using goes out of business, or if they have a data center glitch, or something bad happens, you have a copy that you control. So even by putting your stuff into the cloud, people who say, okay, I've got my phone, I've got the cloud, everything's in the cloud, it's safe. If that's the only copy that's in the cloud, if something happens to that data center where your stuff is stored, that stuff could be lost. So that's why I love having my own local first copy. In addition, I was a Lightroom Classic user for many, many years. I still think it's a great program. And I like having my stuff on drives that I control. But I wanted the convenience of being able to have all of my stuff on my other devices. Putting everything into Adobe's cloud for me was cost prohibitive. Now, for somebody who's making, a few $100,000 a year on their art, yeah, maybe it makes sense to be able to put many terabytes and spend $80 to $100 a month on cloud storage. For me, that was just something I always had a hard time swallowing. So with Mylio, being able to use that peer-to-peer connection to where I can just leave my computer on at home, and with that peer-to-peer connection, I can pull up from my iPad or my iPhone an original file that sources it from my computer at home without having to use the cloud. That was brilliant. For me, that was a game-changing thing. And the fact that it's privacy-focused, that Mylio never sees my files. And if I do want to add in the cloud for storage, it is completely encrypted. I think that's just absolutely brilliant, because in this day and age, every time you're putting things online, things are getting data mined, your stuff is being scanned, and it's being used for something else. I do share things on Facebook. I do take that calculated risk, but it's not always something that I want to have done with my entire library. My photos are mine, and I want to be in control of where they go and who sees them. All of the AI inside of Mylio. So today, Mylio has AI object recognition. It has facial recognition, which is brilliant if you want to find pictures of specific people in your library. This is great for family photos. It's also great for people who do model photography or event photography, keeping track of those images and being able to really quickly find images of specific people. And it has optical character recognition, or OCR, which reads text in your photos. All of this AI runs locally on your machine. None of it is sent out to the cloud. So again, very, very privacy focused. The update we're working on for later this year has additional AI in it. It's going to have natural language search. It's got brand new algorithms for the scene and object recognition. It's going to have basically a built-in AI chatbot, so you can learn how to do things within the app. It's got so much cool stuff in there. And again, all of this AI runs locally on your computer. Additionally, if you want to expand on what you can do locally, I do believe, and again, this is not something I have personally tested yet, but I think you will be able to, if you have, say, a Claude account or a ChatGPT account or something like that, you can connect it to your AI of choice to use that with Mylio in what we're working on that will be released later this year. So Mylio Photos Plus, this is for an individual user, starts at $20 a month or $240 a year. There are family and team plans. If you want to add additional people to your account, you can certainly do so for an additional charge. But for an individual user, $20 a month gets you unlimited media because you're using your own storage, unlimited devices. You can connect as many devices as you have. I would say that most people have at least a laptop, a phone, and possibly a tablet, maybe more. You can install Mylio on all of those devices, and it uses your own storage. You also have the ability to add on, bring your own storage, bring your own cloud. You can use Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive, any S3 storage, or Mylio does have its own cloud as well. So how does this fit into your backup plan? I leaned really heavy earlier into backing up, and I want to just show here what this can look like in terms of your backup plan. So you're going to take all of your stuff from your phone and your camera that's going to go into Mylio and your working copy. Now, in addition to your computer here, you might have external storage because most of us, our computers themselves can't hold all of our images. That is pretty normal these days. So maybe we could have here, plus hard drive, hard drive, hard drive. So these are your working copy. This is your primary storage. Then on top of that, you're going to have your local backup. You're going to have your time machine or your Windows file history or your carbon copy cloner or something like that. And you're going to have a separate copy of those important things. And then finally, you're going to have your offsite solution, which keeps that backup offsite for your disaster recovery. This local backup protects you against things like your phone getting stolen, a hard drive crashing, computer crashing, things like that. This offsite backup is what protects you from a fire, a flood, home thefts, things like that. Those are all the things that you hope you never need to have, but if you need them, it's really good to have it and gives you a lot of peace of mind. And the thing that I love about having Mylio as part of my backup plan is that it does give me a way to get all of my pictures from my phone. So because I have Mylio installed on my phone, everything from my camera roll comes into Mylio. It then gets back to my vaults, and it gets synced to my local backup and to my offsite backup. So I have all of my phone and camera media in one place, protected together. So everything in one place includes, yes, your phone. It's the camera you use most, but these are usually the photos that are the least protected. And the reason for that is a lot of us have these silos. We have our computer and we put all of our stuff from our big cameras into the computer. And if you've got a good backup plan in place, all of that stuff is already taken care of. But we kind of forget that our phones are not really that well protected. Yes, we have the cloud, but not everybody pays for additional cloud storage on their phone. A lot of people underpay for that. And if you're underpaying, that means that there may be a lot of media on your phone that isn't backed up to the cloud. So you don't want to lose those really important photos, because for most of us, even if it's not our artwork that's on our phone, it's a lot of memories. And people with kids and families and things like this, those are the pictures that probably mean the most to you, and those are the least protected. So what having something like Mylio does in getting your pictures from your phone into that main library gives you that one library, that one place, that copy that you control that you can go ahead and then protect. The hard part about having two separate libraries, having, say, a Lightroom Classic library, a Bridge library, and then having an iPhone library, is that that's, again, causing TDM. It's two places for you to back up and try to take care of. Getting it all into one library means you only have one source of truth that you have to worry about keeping backed up. So let's go ahead and jump into Mylio. Before we do that, is there anything happening in the chat, Stephen, or any questions that you have?
No, well, so far it's really clear and
All
concise.
right.
It's probably why you're not getting questions. You get everything so organized. It's like there's really no questions asked.
So I'm too organized is what you're telling me.
You're way too
So
organized. It's like I'll do that sometimes. I'll do a presentation and it comes through so clear and nobody's asking questions. I'm going, am I like that good? No, and then our people coming in laughing, saying everything seems so clear. They didn't know what questions to ask.
it's too funny. Well, how
So
many
you,
people do we have logged in right now? I'm real curious.
I'm showing about 15 or so
Okay.
currently, but it fluctuates.
Absolutely. All right. So what you're looking at up on the screen now is Mylio Photos. This is the application that's available today. We'll go into the alpha version that I have of the new Mylio preview later on. But I want to start with showing you if you were to say win one of the copies we're giving away today, or if you decide to go ahead and download a trial and test this, what you're able to do today, which is really still very, very powerful. The new version it's going to knock your socks off, but this is still incredibly valuable. And this is what Stephen's using today too. So what you have is the option to bring all of your media into one place and have it accessible all from a single library. And I can look at this exact same library. I can look at these exact same folders on my phone, on my iPad, whether I'm sitting on the sofa in the other room, whether I'm across town at a coffee shop, or whether I am around the world. This is actually a really fantastic tool for somebody who likes to travel, because I can take, and this is actually what I did last year when I went to Scotland. I took just my iPad, I took a card reader, and I took a little SSD drive along with my phone and my big camera, and I was able to offload the cards from my camera into my iPad and then back them up to that little SSD drive. And when I got home, everything synced into the folders on my vaults where everything is supposed to be. So it makes it super, super simple to keep a contiguous workflow across all of your devices, because you can interact with each of these folders from every single device. So these are folders that actually live in my file system. If I go ahead and right click on this and say reveal in Finder, that's going to go ahead and pull up that photos folder that lives on my computer. And that same folder structure lives on my various devices. So I've got my Mylio Photos Vault. I've got different drives here that have different Mylio information. And so this is a direct connection to my hard drive. If I make changes to files here, if I go in and rename a folder or I rename a file, it renames it in the file system. So it's a direct connection and nothing is lost. You are controlling your stuff.
So, okay, I should probably ask a question that everybody should be asking.
Okay.
Okay, so your main structures on your hard drive, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we'll say that that's where it'll be for now. And then when you populate this into Mylio, all of your devices are going to achieve the exact same population of all your images based what's on your hard drive.
Correct.
So if you want to download the original high quality version of that image onto, say, your cell phone or your iPad or your Android, you can do that, right?
Yep.
What if your computer is not accessible? What if your main computer is off for whatever reason?
Mm-hmm.
Can I still access the original high quality?
So no, it still has to be able to pull the original high quality from somewhere.
Got it.
So what I've got in place for myself, if I go here into my devices, I
Right.
have a Synology that I have connected via an S3 connection, so I have that available. I can pull down from that even if my computer's shut off. I also have Mylio Drive Plus, which is Mylio's cloud, And I have this also set up as a vault. So
Got it. So
either from
that
Mylio Drive Plus or from my Synology, I can pull down high resolution files across the world over the internet.
got it. So if you go to the Mylio Plus, then
Mhm.
it's going to replicate what's on your hard drive at home exactly on their server.
Correct. So that's what the Mylio Drive Plus. So Mylio Drive without the plus comes with your Mylio Photos Plus
Oh,
subscription.
we got a
This is an
question.
add-on here.
We've got a question, and I'm
Yes.
going to pop it up there. Who, what would happen if my Mylio were to crash or go out of business?
So that's a great question. So if you decided for whatever reason you didn't want to use Mylio anymore, I really hope it never goes out of business because I think this is a really great product.
It
But
really is.
the cool thing is all of this stuff's in your file system in industry standard format. You would just take your folder structure and go to whatever else you needed. I can go ahead and go into that same folder structure that I was showing you a moment ago into my photos here. I can look at the same structure in Bridge right now if I wanted to. So you are not locked into anything. There are a handful of things that are Mylio only. So much like in Lightroom, creating a collection in Lightroom is Lightroom only. Creating an album in Apple Photos is Apple only. I think Capture One has its own things like that. There are a handful of things that are going to be specific to Mylio. But as far as anything that gets saved to your XMP, all of your metadata, any metadata changes you make, all of that is accessible in your file system. And if there is an industry standard for it, we use it, and then you can then access that information from any other application that uses the industry standard. So
And
it's a
just
very safe way to manage your stuff. And by no means are you forever locked in. You can take your stuff and go someplace else. And hopefully, if you do that, then your stuff is better organized than when you started.
right.
At Mylio, we kind of hope you'll be with us forever, but we understand that it's not the best tool for everybody. We want it to fit your workflow well. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah.
There was another question. Go ahead.
So basically, they can like if they want to use Lightroom, just switch it over to the Lightroom, and
Mhm.
whatever application you're using, it's going to read it. It's all industry standard default workflow.
Yep.
Um, Let me check and see. Oh, here we go. We got another question. Yay! See, guys, we like questions.
Yes.
So don't be shy. All right. So the question is from Sunflower 308. How much space does Mylio require?
So it really depends on the size of your library because Mylio uses your own storage. As far as internal storage on your own computer, you have a couple of options. So if I go up here to my MacBook Pro and into my device storage, right now Mylio is currently using 95 gigs. And that's not just the library, that's because I have a lot of optimized images. So for better viewing, bigger than a thumbnail, I have those available here on my local device. Most of my stuff is, however, stored on external drives. So it's moderating how much space it'll take here. I can also switch this device sync policy from Space Saver. If I had a really small internal hard drive, I could switch it to catalog only, which is just going to be thumbnails. And then you would pull down and cached files of the optimized, which are similar to like a smart preview in Lightroom, and pull those down on demand. So it really depends on the size of your device, but Space Saver is the default for all computers, phones, and tablets. And that does a really pretty good job of balancing space requirements and doesn't store everything in full resolution on your individual drive. So as far as other storage that you would need, if you've got an 8 terabyte library, you're going to need at least an 8 terabyte drive. If you've got, a 20 terabyte library, you're going to need at least a 20 terabyte drive or RAID or something like that. So Mylio uses, like I said, your own local storage. So if your library is huge, you're going to need more than somebody who has a more modest library.
Yeah, it really helps to have your own type of a backup at home,
Yes.
in addition to backup elsewhere, like on the some backup server on somewhere on the server. And I know our friend Andy, which was part of the Dark Rumors photography group, which is one of the oldest, and in my opinion, is one of the most one of the better user groups in San Diego. Um, he's a programmer, so he's showing me how to set up my server right now. So
Oh, awesome. I love that. All right, so there was a question earlier about doing this on the phone. Let's see here, let me do what you're seeing on the phone. Let me pull this up. Hopefully
Okay.
this works nicely. All right, cool. So hopefully you guys can see. Come
Oh,
on.
that's awesome.
There you go. So that is my phone that you're seeing up on the screen. And let me switch back over to the folders view. Pull that back up. There we go. And move that over. So here's my phone here on the right. And you'll see it is the exact same folder structure that I have here on the left. And if I make a change here on my phone, we'll see that happen here on my computer. So actually, let me just go here. I'm going to switch this to the all photos view. And let's go here to this little Rolly 35 camera. And I'm going to switch over here to all photos view in here. And there's that little Rolly 35. So switch back over to my phone. You can see there's this. And if I go ahead and on my phone, rotate this, it rotates on my computer as well.
Nice.
So changes as I make them on my phone are syncing live to my computer. And if my computer is offline, if my computer is shut down and I'm just working on my phone, all of those changes queue up and are stored in cache, and then they get synchronized as soon as my computer comes back online. So you can work on all of your media from wherever you are. And I think that's something that I think the person who's locked into Lightroom or maybe just using Bridge doesn't really conceive of being able to have that level of control from their phone. I can also here from my phone take this and say, I want to move this to a different folder. And I can go ahead and move it, and it will physically move it and sync that change, the actual physical move, to my computer in the actual storage. So super, super powerful in what you're able to accomplish there. So let me go ahead and turn off, not that one, that one. Stop mirroring. There we go. So that's a little bit of what you can do inside of Mylio. And to give you a little bit of an idea of what the interface is like here, what I'm looking at here is what we call the all photos view. And this is essentially your camera roll, but this is everything from every camera, every device, every folder, all in one place. So if you're used to that continuous scroll that you have on your phone and you like that, great, you have that here in Mylio. You can also switch to the calendar view, which is actually one of my favorites. This groups everything by date. Again, everything across your library, based on the metadata that's in the file, is put into a really beautiful calendar view. And you can see in my library, I've got my professional pictures in here, but I also have things that I've scanned in with my family history. So I can go way back in time here and take a look at my old family photos. And then coming up here to when you scan photos from when I was a little girl, things I took on my film cameras that I've scanned, and then getting into my modern digital photos. So everything is here. And then I've got what we call events. I can go ahead and say, okay, I want to take out all my pictures of my anniversary trip that we took to Big Bear. Or I can say when Les came home from deployment, I can take a look at those pictures. And those are events that I can mark on my calendar and I can jump to those. These don't have to necessarily be personal events. These can be, if you're using your library primarily for work, these can be different photo shoots that you did. And you can have those easily accessible right here on your calendar. And if you go into the calendar, you then see everything by month. And then you can click on a month, go in and see everything by day. And you can see, again, all of your different events here on your calendar. You can even link this to an actual digital calendar. I would be very careful in doing that because we tend to have a lot more junk on our calendars that we have in like Apple or Google or whatever than we realize. And I did that once, and then I ended up having to clean off a lot of like doctor's appointments and dentists and appointments at the DMV and just mundane things that you don't want to see on your photo calendar. But that is something you can do if you want to. Excuse me. Another cool way to interact here is the map view. And this puts all of your photos based on your GPS information onto the map so you can see where you've been and see maybe where you still need to go.
We have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
We got questions. We love questions. Okay, so Square Dog, it is, if you delete a photo from your phone, will it delete everywhere else? I ask because I frequently run out of storage space on my phone.
This is a really good question. So If you're deleting something within the Mylio application, it will delete it from all of your Mylio devices. So if I were to delete a picture in Mylio on my phone, it'll delete it from all of my Mylio devices, from my vaults, from my hard drives, everything. However, import from your camera roll is one way. So what Mylio is going to do, and this is an Apple limitation and a Google limitation, we can bring them in, but we cannot, if you get it into Mylio, we can't delete it in your phone from Mylio. So it is a one way. But what you can do, there is a function inside of Mylio called free up space. And if you go up to, in your phone, this little 3-dot menu in the upper right, there's an option in there for free up space. And what that'll do is it will look at what's in Mylio, compare it to your camera roll, and anything that's on your camera roll that has already been safely backed up to one of your vaults, meaning there's a copy that exists somewhere else, it will then free up that space on your camera roll. So there is one way to kind of go backwards with that, and that is with that free up space. And there's a really nice checks and balances in there to make sure nothing important is deleted. So yes, you absolutely can free up that space on your phone. It is wonderful. So for somebody who doesn't want to have to rely on paying for cloud storage with Apple and Google, that is a great way to do it. You get everything into Mylio, you deal with your own storage, and you minimize the load that you're putting on your phone, and you minimize the load you're putting on any cloud services you have to pay for. All right, so back here to the map view. If your pictures have GPS location information, they will appear here on the map. It's also very easy here in Mylio to add location information to images. So if you have pictures, you can just grab a bunch of pictures, select them all, and drag them directly onto the map. And once you do that, you end up with a really nicely populated map. So I can go ahead and zoom in here to San Diego area. And you see those pins start to spread out because as you get closer in, there we go. And then you can go ahead and take a look at different pictures based on where they were taken. So right here in Escondido, this was in I believe this was in like an antique store. There was this really cool typewriter. So yep, there was that day we went there and did that. So that's how you interact with the map view. There's a lot of tools in here for finding things based on who, what, where, when. And so this is the where. You go, if you remember where something happened, but you don't necessarily remember the date or any other information about it, looking on the map is a great way to do that. Much like if you're somebody who, I'm very number driven. So the calendar for me makes a lot of sense because I often will remember where or when something was taken, but not necessarily who was there or where it was. So I like the calendar. Some people might like the map more. And then other people remember who was there. So again, you can do very sophisticated facial recognition. It's very easy to do. When you first load it up, it'll find people in your catalog that haven't been named yet. So I can go here and say, all of these here, these are faces that I don't want to tag. I can just go ahead and ignore those. And there's a few more. Go ahead and ignore those. This one here, that's my mom. I can go ahead and tag her. Go ahead and type in her name. She's already in there. There she goes. And I can go through and just tag all of the people in my library. If you don't want to do it one-off, we also have a batch face tagging tool. So you can go here and batch face tag. Is that Judy? Yes, it is. I can go ahead and tag those. And just like that, all of those pictures are tagged. So it makes it very, very simple to work through your library and tag all of the important people in your life. So then later on, you go in here to people view and you can find pictures of anybody in your library. So I can go here and I can type in Stephen and hit return there. And I do believe
you find Steve. Is Steve there?
I could have sworn I had pictures of you in here. Maybe I don't.
Oh, nobody loves me.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I've got pictures of you somewhere. Anyway, that's how you find people. You can just go ahead and do a Command or Control F and put it in the find and be able to find whoever it is you're looking for. You can also go up here to the main search and search for names there as well. So when you do this, you just get into a collection of a person. So let me just embarrass myself here. Go up here to the top. Actually, I can just embarrass my husband. So there we go. I can find every picture of my husband that I have. And they're all in one place.
I was hoping you're going to have no pictures of him.
Why would I do that? All right, next up we have the albums view. So much like collections in Lightroom or albums in Apple Photos, or, they're called albums or collections just about everywhere. These are virtual groupings. So while I recommend doing a date-based system for your folders, because those are naturally date sortable, they're very easy to find that way. Not every picture you have will fit in, or maybe you have pictures that fit into different types of things. So when people say, I want to have a folder for this side of the family and I want to have a folder for that side of the family. Well, what happens when you have pictures that both of those people appear into? You either have to make a decision that that picture is going to go into one or the other, or you end up creating duplicates. And that's where something like albums with virtual organization comes in, is you can take a single image and put them into as many albums as you want. And because it's virtual, you're not taking up any additional storage space. You're not physically duplicating anything. And it's just a really great way to group things in different ways. So some of the things you can do with an album, I have albums for travel. I have albums for, my top 10 of specific years. I have albums of images that I've entered into the San Diego County Fair. I have albums for remodeling and refinishing projects I've done for different houses that I've lived in. All sorts of different things, different articles that I've written for different publications, submissions to my camera club, and so forth. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use albums in your library. I think they're very, very helpful. And then, of course, if we go down to the next view here, we have our folders, which is, again, if you're used to working in the file system and you like to interact this way, this is maybe where you're going to stay. But there are so many different ways that you can interact with your pictures here in Mylio. It makes it very, very easy. Are there any other questions about Mylio before we kind of move on from this section? We're going to go into some editing here in a little bit, but I just wanted to give kind of an overview of the UI.
No questions, but I'm going to say hello to some of the people that just jumped in.
Awesome.
I see Les is there. Welcome, Les. Mike997C4S. Welcome, Mandala Jason. Welcome. Square Doc, of course. We've been chatting with you. Welcome, Sunflower. Then there's about 15 more in here that no names are showing up. So, but welcome everybody. So, once a month we do the Photoshop users group presentation, and Angela is doing something that's actually very important for all digital artists, whether you are a digital painter, a 3D artist, a photographer. It doesn't matter. This workflow consolidates anything and everything that you do on your computer to keep well organized. And I really like this a lot better than Lightroom. So Lightroom's limited. So keep in mind that Lightroom has what's called a catalog, and everything, all the data is saved on that catalog, which is on your local drive. This is reaching out to all your devices everywhere in your house, your cell phone, your mobile devices, and consolidating them all together. I like to picture Mylio as that device or that program that Lightroom wish it could be. So I really love this part, and I think the Photoshop user group, we've got a discount code, right?
We do, and I've got that for you at the end.
All right, and that's I think it's a discount code for the Photoshop user group. I think it's
yes.
Okay, good.
Yep, it's a discount for the Photoshop users group, and it's good through the end of August. And if for some reason you missed that, y'all can reach out to me anytime, and I will hook you up.
Great, and then also make sure I'll put a link in here for anyone here who is not on our mailing list. It's free to join. We have monthly meetings, and we got some great announcements today. Right after Angela finished her presentation, we got an announcement where we have an artist reception today. Many of our members are in this particular gallery in Escondido, so we'll talk more about that in just a little bit. So yeah, go ahead, Angela.
All right. So let's get back into backing up a little bit. I mentioned that having everything in a place that you control. That is especially true for pictures that from your phone, getting everything into one place. So with Mylio, having a Mylio vault, or ideally two, is where all of those things go. It is just a device that you designate that Mylio will put all of your full resolution images or full resolution files into that device. And then you can have more than one. So in case a drive dies, you have another drive that can go ahead and take over for it. So a Mylio Vault is any device that you designate to hold everything at full resolution. So let me just pop back over here real quick to Mylio and go over here to my dashboard and devices. If I go ahead and scroll down here to the bottom, you can see I have Mylio Drive Plus, which is Mylio's cloud. That is a vault that holds my entire library. I have an external hard drive that is attached, and that's just a USB HDD drive. It's a big one. I think it's let's take a look here, device storage. That is an 8 terabyte drive. And right now it's about halfway full. So that is my local vault. And then I also have a Synology here. Setting up a NAS with Mylio today is a little bit complex. We do have tech support who can walk you through that. So whether you're on Mac or Windows, there's a few different options to choose from. But it is absolutely possible. I have mine connected via an S3 connection. So this is actually something that I can access from out of the house, which is a really nice thing to have. So those are my 3 vaults that I have. So at any time, if this particular hard drive were to die, I have my Synology and I have my Mylio Drive Plus, and either one of those can pick up and repopulate a new drive if I get it. I also have a couple of other drives here that have subsets of my libraries on them. And like this travel backup, this one's actually really cool. I mentioned traveling with Mylio earlier. If I go here into the sync policies, what this does is it keeps all of my media in full resolution quality for the last 3 months. So this little drive, this is a tiny little SSD, a little 4 terabyte drive. I can grab that. I can take that with my phone. I can take that with my iPad, and I have access on that little drive to everything in full resolution from the last 3 months. So I have like working files with me. I can make sure that my stuff while I'm on the road is backed up, and I can connect that to a USB-C iPhone or to a USB-C iPad and be able to work on my Mylio and have those full resolution files available. So that's pretty cool. Nice. So jumping back over here to the presentation, we do recommend having at least 2 vaults, again, because hard drives die. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. So if you have 2 vault drives, having one of them that takes, that goes and jumps off a cliff and doesn't do well, you have another drive that you can continue working on. All you have to do then is plug in a new drive, format it, and tell Mylio it's a vault, and it will automatically populate that drive with all of your media. So you have always at least 2 vaults working and sitting hopefully on your desk at home. If you ever need to restore, let's say the worst happens, somebody breaks in your house, steals all your computer gear, or there's a natural disaster that compromises everything electronic in your house. If you have to, all you need to do is go to the store, get yourself a new computer, get yourself a new external drive, log into your Mylio account, and Mylio will restore for you.
We don't go to the store anymore. We go to Amazon.
Well, yeah, I can walk over to the Apple store, but I'm an Apple person, so there's that.
Oh, okay.
There are still a few Best Buys around. It's rare.
Yeah, Best Buys sometimes, Best Buys are great for widescreen TVs. Their prices are really low.
That's good.
Just saying.
Good to know. All right. If you do want to add in Mylio's cloud, it's called Mylio Drive Plus with secure cloud storage. It's supposed to be a space right there. A 2 terabyte plan is $11.98 a month. And if you have 5 terabytes, it's $29.95 a month. And after that, it just goes in 5 terabyte increments. So depending on how large your library is, you can go ahead and have that cloud storage with your Mylio account. For me, I have mine set up as a vault. I fit under that 5 terabyte plan right now. But if you have a really, really large library and you don't want to put everything in the cloud, you only want to put some stuff in the cloud, you can tell it to only put my photos in the cloud. Don't put documents or videos. Or I only want to put my 4 and 5-star things in the cloud. You have the ability to control what's there. So you don't have to put everything in the cloud. You can only put your best, your most important, or maybe your working copies that you're working on right now. That is another option. With Mylio's cloud options, again, it is cloud independent. You do not have to use the cloud. But if you want to and you don't want to use Mylio's cloud, you can also bring your own. It works with Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive, or any S3 cloud. So S3 is going to be your Amazon AWS. It's going to be Backblaze B2, Wasabi, iDrive E2, and there's tons of S3 services out there. So anything that is on the S3 protocol, you can use that with Mylio.
You know what? It's interesting because I remember the days where a friend of mine bought a 1 gigabyte hard drive, and he showed it to me and says, I'll never have to buy a hard drive again. And now here we are in terabytes, and there's still not enough.
Right? When I got my first very own laptop that wasn't a hand me down, I think it
Yeah,
had a 4 gig hard drive, and I never ran out of space. And I just thought that was massive.
right.
4 gigs.
No, it's not. And
And now my
four,
laptop itself has 2 terabytes. It's
I've
crazy.
got I'm not my external drives are I've got several 4 terabytes, right? They're filled.
Right.
They're filled already.
Oh yeah. Yeah, my,
Easily.
my Mylio Vault's an 8 terabyte, and I have friends who have, an excess of 2 million pictures in their collections, and they're, filling up 20 terabyte drives.
Let's see. Can we take a 15-minute break?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's take a 15-minute break. It's break time. I'm gonna switch over from Angela's screen temporarily. So and then you're gonna keep your screen up. You don't need to do anything. I'm
Okay.
just gonna remove it, and I'm instead going to, let's see, what am I doing here? Is that yeah, share screen, share my. Excellent.
Awesome.
All right, we're back in business.
Wonderful. Well, hope everybody had a good break. Got some refreshments. My husband made me a new cup of coffee, so I'm all good to go. All right. So there's a question that
We
popped up
got
actually.
we got a bunch of questions that just popped up.
Oh, we got a bunch.
Let's see. What would okay? So this one by Square Doc. Let's see. What does that say? If it, okay, nope. I already answered
We
that
did
one.
that one already.
For after break, is it required to have every image stored on a single vote? I'm pretty sure there isn't a physical storage device large enough to hold all my photos. That's a great question.
It is an excellent question. And so, no, you do not have to do that. It does, in a lot of ways, make things easier. And there's a lot of really high capacity drives that are out there right now. I don't know how big your library is. And so, if you basically, I would say get a slow drive, like a 20 terabyte. I think you can go up to like 24 terabytes now. Get like a, Seagate or something. That can be your dock. The other option would be to have a direct connect storage RAID device. So you could have multi drives in one enclosure that acts like one drive. That would be one option to do that. But to answer your question truly, you do not have to have everything on a single vault. But if you don't, it does make it all the more imperative to have a system backup in place, because if you only have that one copy that's your working copy spread out across multiple devices, then it's even more important to have another place that has a system backup for you. Having that massive library, if it truly is bigger than a 20 or 24 terabyte, um, it does make it harder to back up. That is absolutely for sure. But at the end of the day, you just want to make sure you have that 3-2-1 in place with or without Mylio, and have, your working copy, a backup copy, and your offsite copy. If you have that in place, and then you're also using Mylio and you only have your stuff, Mylio is only seeing one of those places, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
We can definitely help you set that up, but you don't have to have a vault all in one place, but it can help, and it can make some things easier.
I think it's best on a practical level for that question to set up a RAID system with redundancy.
Yes.
So redundancy is there's RAID and it's got RAID with redundant. Redundancy basically means that in the process of whatever you back up to that RAID drive. So RAID is basically, for those who are not familiar with it, are multiple drives. For example, you say you buy 10 1 terabyte drives, and you can tell your operating system to take all 10 drives, lump them together under one drive letter. So that 10 terabyte RAID will now be drive D. And what redundancy does is it duplicates everything that goes on that RAID. So if you put in five gigabytes of Death Valley images or Yosemite Valley images, ultimately you're having two sets of those, so that if one of those drives go down, you have a backup of everything. So it takes up more space on your RAID, but it gives you absolute surety that everything's going to be backed up. And I know on my system now, I've got like several different. I got about 3 or 4 different 4 terabyte hard drives, and I log all those into Mylio. Mylio accepts and sees all of them.
Yep.
So yeah, my Mylio is that flexible, believe it or not.
Yeah, I think for somebody who has a really massive library, a Direct Connect RAID is the best option. And then if you wanted to have that be multiple devices, you could have 2 of those. I mean, starts to get pretty costly, but if you're managing a large library and that's very important, might be a cost that you just need to kind of swallow and deal with. So having that redundancy really is the biggest thing. So hopefully that answers your question there. It looks like Les gave some feedback there about the different RAID systems, so that's great too.
Oh, good. So yeah, level 5, level 7, or maybe 1 plus 0 for the RAID setup. Let's see, inexpensive. Yeah, okay, so I know Angela mentioned Seagate. Now, I highly recommend you never ever buy Seagate, because
Really?
Seagates go bad really easy, and it's kind of common knowledge. So you're right. Stick with a slower drive, like even those old movable hard drives, which are now you can get really cheap, but slower speed, like 54 RPMs instead of the 7200 RPMs. The slower drives have a tendency to last longer because it's not so much wear and tear on them, with this, because of the speed capacity. I mean, or do solid state drive, your choice. But drives go bad. I mean, they do, and you got to keep switching them out.
Exactly. I'm curious about your experience though with Seagates. I've had actually really good experiences with Seagates. I've had not as good of experiences with Western Digital's. And I know there's other ones out there, but those are kind of the 2 ones that you can get easily off the shelf most places.
Yeah, all of my Seagates, literally, and I mean, no, hands down, all of my Seagates I ever bought went bad pretty quickly.
Darn, that's a bummer.
When I did research on Google, Seagate is the lowest rated drive out there. Against Seagate was at the time the highest rated drive.
Interesting.
There is Hitachi was pretty good, but yeah, just do research again. I mean, maybe that's changed, but I had real bad problems with Seagates.
Good to know. Yeah, I've got a couple of Seagate. Actually, I think all of my drives right now are all Seagates, and they're all cranking along and have been for a few years. So fingers crossed, knock on wood, they stay that way.
All right.
All right.
So.
Oh, indeed. I'll take it. To send all the prayers. That's great. All right. So back to talking about backup. The first part of this is to have a copy of everything that's important to you in a place that you control. So with Mylio, that allows you to bring your phone pictures out of the cloud onto a drive that you're controlling, whether you're using a Mylio Vault or whether you're just getting everything down to your computer. Having that copy allows you to then back it up. And then from there, you combine Mylio with your system backup. So if you have the vault set up with Mylio, that gives you some replication across your system. You have 2 vaults, 2 copies of your data locally, and then you have a system backup that protects everything else. And the thing is there's more things on your computer that are important than just your photos or what's in your photo library. So for me, I've got a lot of stuff for work. I've got, there's tons of stuff on my computer that's important that would be a real pain if I lost. And I know that Time Machine's backing that up, and I know that Backblaze is backing that up. So everything on my computer and my connected drives has multiple layers of protection. And the key to making this stick and making it work, again, is that automation. You pick a system and you stick with it. Create a local folder structure that makes sense to you. Build that structure and then set up your local backup. Make sure that your computer and everything that's connected to it is getting backed up to one place. And then make sure you have that offsite backup. And Backblaze is $99 a year for unlimited storage. This is best in class cloud backup. It's one of the best cloud companies out there. And at $99 a year for unlimited storage, it will back up everything on your computer and all of your connected drives. So that means if you've got a 20 terabyte RAID connected to your computer and it's that letter drive on your computer, it will back that up to unlimited. Now, it might take a while. I will say that for my, 4 to 6 terabytes of total storage that I have that Backblaze is backing up, when I get a new computer and that has to back up, it takes 4 to 6 weeks for everything to get up to the cloud. But after that, it's just incremental. It only is backing up changes. It runs in the background, and I never have to think about it. And for me, that's probably one of the most brilliant things, is the less that I have to think about and do, the better, because there's so much stuff coming at all of us every single day. Everything is demanding of our time. Taking that one little piece of the puzzle and automating it, letting it run in the background, will give you so much peace of mind. I mentioned earlier that I live on the edge of a nature preserve. California is prone to wildfires. And just that one little thing, knowing that I don't have to stress that my photos are safe if there's a wildfire. I can grab the things out of my house that are important. It doesn't have to be my computer. It'd be a bummer to lose it, but I know that my stuff is okay. And that just takes so much pressure off me. And I know day to day, my stuff is safe. That's not something I have to worry about. Computer trouble is always a pain. If something crashes, it's never fun. But I know that I'm not going to lose the important stuff. So that is what's really important there. So now we want to talk about some of the fun stuff. You've gotten your stuff into Mylio. You have everything in one place. Your backups are running smoothly. How does this fit with your workflow that you're using today? So what I'd like to ask here of those of you who are in the chat, tell me what your favorite editing tools are. Are you using primarily Photoshop? Are you using other applications for your editing? Who here is primarily a photographer versus working with different types of art files? Let me know a little bit about what you're doing, and I want to be able to talk directly to what everybody's using. I know Steven's using Photoshop, absolutely. I know that's going to be a big one because we're at the Photoshop users group. But I'm guessing there's other stuff that people here use too. And the brilliance here of Mylio specifically is that you're working from your full file system. This is not a black box or proprietary storage. Mylio is reading directly from the files on your computer and your external drive. So your editing workflow is completely open and accessible. You just open your files in the software that you already use, and Mylio can go ahead and work with that. Another one here for Bridge Photoshop, excellent. So when you go ahead and open a picture from Mylio, you can open it in whatever application you choose, and as long as you save your edited picture back to that same folder, Mylio will pick it up. And once it sees it, it will then synchronize it to all of your devices. So everything syncs to your vaults, your other connected devices, and if you want to get to your latest edits on your phone, want to show people what you've been working on, just go ahead and open up the Mylio app, and you have that stuff right there with you. It's very, very cool. So here's an example of the workflow. You can open with Photoshop, and if I'm doing a raw file, it'll open it right up into Camera Raw. From there, I can go ahead and open it fully into Photoshop and go ahead and make my edits. I save that. All of the stuff from Camera Raw gets saved into an industry standard XMP. I do know that ACR also does the .acr files. If you're using any of the AI masks or a lot of the newer tools in there, those save in their own proprietary sidecar. We'll talk about those here in a few minutes, but industry standard XMPs, Mylio can sync anywhere. Mylio also has broad file support, so it supports most raw formats, your PSD files, your TIFFs, your videos, and even some documents. Your saved edits get saved back right to that same folder where you were working, and Mylio automatically picks it up. So when you're saving things that you want to go back into Mylio, and again, this is really critical for keeping things organized. A lot of us have the tendency to, let's save this as edit-1, edit-2, edit-final, edit-really final, and we have all of these different iterations. And if we're putting them in different places on our computer, that's where things can get really, really crazy. But if you have the discipline to put them back into the same folder where that original was, Mylio will automatically pick that up, respects your XMP files, and for proprietary sidecar files, this is the caveat. Today, Mylio does not sync those proprietary sidecar files. They are saved on disk wherever you save that file, but syncing for those proprietary files is coming soon. So later this year, not only will Mylio sync the .acr files, but it will sync .radiant files, .on1 files, whatever other third-party application that you might be using that creates its own proprietary XMP, or not XMP, sidecar. It will sync those. So that's coming. I'm really excited about that. That's something that people have been asking for ages. So this is something where that system backup matters, because Mylio today can't sync those ACR files. So make sure you're doing that system backup to make sure those edits are still protected. All right. So some settings to check on both Lightroom Classic and Camera Raw, if you're using these in conjunction with Mylio, is to make sure that your metadata is saving to XMP. In Camera Raw, and we can look at this here in Camera Raw in just a second, you're going to go into your Camera Raw preferences under file handling, and you're going to choose always use sidecar XMP files. If you're in Lightroom, you're going to go into your catalog settings, and you're going to check this box here for automatically write changes into sidecar files. I would suggest, even if you never use Mylio and you're just using Lightroom, to go ahead and set this. What this does, it doesn't negate Lightroom's catalog that stores all of your changes in the catalog, but it also then writes those to the XMP files. And when you do this, it's going to basically give you a backup. So if your Lightroom catalog were to crash and you ever have to restore, you're not losing all of those metadata changes that were stored only in that catalog. You then have essentially a backup there on your disk from that database file. Everything would be in these sidecar files. So I recommend for everybody also turn this on. It does create XMP files, which are little tiny text files that sit next to your images. Don't be afraid of them. They take up very little space. They just need to stay in the same folder where the image is, and they contain all of your image information that you've changed in whatever application you're using. So let's pop over to Photoshop real quick. I'm going to actually just load up Photoshop here and show you real quick where to find those settings inside of your Photoshop instance. So give that a moment here. We're going to do some fun stuff with Photoshop here in a minute. All right, so here under your Photoshop preferences, it's either going to be under your help menu or under the Photoshop menu for your Mac users, I believe under help for Windows users. So you're going to go here into settings, and you're going to go down to Camera Raw. And we'll go ahead and let that load up. And you're going to go under file handling right here, and make sure for under sidecars, you have that set to always use sidecar XMP files. Again, what that's doing is saving all of those changes you make in Adobe Camera Raw to that XMP file, which is then an industry standard file that can be taken and read anywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and close that out real quick, and we're going to jump back over to the presentation. So we covered those settings. So let's go ahead and do some editing. This is where we get to start having some fun, and I want Steven's input in here because we all know that he is a really, really good master at using Photoshop. So here inside of Mylio, I want to start with using
I need a promoter. You're hired.
We're going to go here into my folders. Actually, let's go here by file. And what I'm doing here is into my quick filters. I'm just filtering my library to find specific things. So I want to go into my photos, and I just want to find my raw files. So that's going to filter my library to everything raw. And then I can go down here by camera and lens, and let's say I want to find everything from my Canon cameras. So from here, let's go to find some pictures to edit. If there's anything that jumps out at you, Steven, you let me know.
Okay. So I can pick any photo?
You pick any photo.
Any photo? What about that? What the one that just passed? Right there, that dark one. Right there's.
This one?
No, you keep scrolling, so I can't see it now.
I'm not scrolling anymore. I stopped.
Oh, okay. All right, you stopped. Okay, that one just to your left, just to the left.
This one here?
There, yeah.
All right. So if we want to take this into Photoshop and edit it there, what I can do is I can just open this up here. Now, Mylio does have some of its own editing tools. I will say they are very basic. You've got your exposures, your shadows, highlights, white balance. I feel personally Adobe does those things much, much better. I almost never do my editing inside of Mylio. They're there, but I would say they're more for like the very beginner user.
So
for something like
these are basic level raw editing tools.
Yeah, so you're doing raw editing right here inside of Mylio if you want to.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I see that's going to improve over time.
Oh yeah. So, but for right now, what I want to do, I'm going to just jump this over here to the main folder where this lives. So I go into my folder and I'm going to go ahead and close out of the edit. Now let's go ahead and just take this to Photoshop. I'm going to go up here to the photo menu and say open with, and it's going to show me everything on my computer that is a compatible editor for this type of file. So I can go up here and choose Photoshop. And you get a dialog here that asks if you want to edit the original or a copy with Mylio adjustments. If you've already done your raw adjustments in Mylio and you want to take those into Photoshop, go ahead and select the second one. For me, I want to go ahead and prefer the raw. So I'm going to go ahead and say continue. And that's going to go ahead and jump that right into Camera Raw. Now, another cool thing here is if I wanted to bring in a whole group of images, let's say I've just gone through an entire shoot, I've culled it down to the images that I want to edit. I can say, mark those all with a pick flag, filter to show just those picks, and then select all and open those all into Camera Raw. And those would then be here in the film strip along the bottom. So, Stephen, where do we go from here?
Where do you go from there? Okay, let's see.
Put you on the spot.
Where do we go from here? Let's see. All right, let's do this. Let's use our. Let me see how good the value-based workflow will work here. So go to
Well, so this is Camera Raw, so it's going to work exactly how you probably expect.
All right, fine. We'll do it. We'll do the okay, go to your color.
Okay.
Well, let's see. Drop it down so I can see color. All right. I gotta look at you on the StreamYard app because it is. It's kind of interesting. Give me a hot second. Interesting. Annoying. It's giving me a highlight blue over everywhere. Give me a second here. I'm just trying to get this maximized so I can see you more effectively.
Well, I'm going to jump ahead of Steven here, and I'm going to just pull my saturation down to 0 to start.
Pull your saturation to 0.
Yep. All right, and then we're going to jump up to the light, and we're going to work our shadows and highlights. I might have taken 1 or 2 of Steven's classes.
Yes, you did.
So I'm going to go and pull my highlights all the way down. Still feel like some of those brights are a little bit bright, so I might pull my whites down a little bit more.
Right, bring the whites down, and your shadows, bring them up.
Yep, definitely need to bring up the shadows.
Shadows. So
Probably right about there, I think is pretty good.
Detail. Let's see your highlights. Bring your whites down a little bit.
Bring them down more.
Whites a little bit. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go down and reestablish our darker values. So let's go down to dehaze.
Yep.
Pull that to the right, and let's reestablish a nice stronger black. There we go. Got detail everywhere. Go to your clarity. There we go, and then your highlights just a little bit, because you don't want any type of edge.
That looks pretty good.
Yeah.
What would you go further?
Let's see for the I go a little bit more
On texture?
just a little bit on texture. Yeah, there we go. That's nicer.
Okay.
All right, now I'm go back, hit. There we go. I want to see the whole thing. Let's bring down the density just slightly, super slight. So density. Go back to the light.
Okay.
Go to the density, the very top density. Is it density?
Oh, the exposure?
Sorry. Exposure. Yeah, just bring it down. There you go. That's it.
Okay.
Okay, let's bring up the color. Yeah, there you go. So you don't need to go all the way over. It's good enough right about there.
Yeah. Lovely. So now we've made a really, really nice edit here. A couple of things that I would probably do further here. I would go ahead and go to my geometry and upright that.
And also your lens, your optics.
Yeah. So if I go back here to this, and I believe that should already be on. So yeah, that's already on.
So optics, you have your lens correction.
Yep.
All turned on. Okay. All right,
Yep.
Very good. And chromatic aberration.
Yep.
It's turned on. Okay, good. You're good. That's
So yeah, from there, I might actually crop this in a little bit, like this little bit up here in the corner. I think that's a little bit distracting. What do you think, Stephen?
yeah.
And that in just a little bit,
Crop it down. You can bring it down a little bit.
a little bit more.
Straight down. Now you're cropping in. I'm just saying.
So you would go free crop here then.
Yeah, I go free crop.
Where's the take off the lock here? About there?
Yep.
All right, we'll go ahead and go with that. I know Stephen's not a huge fan of this, but I like a little bit of a vignette. So I'll just add a touch there about that. That is good, I think.
No, yeah, no, I don't like vignette. It makes it makes it too obvious is what you're trying to do. It's kind of I see vignettes it's for like amateurs. So
See, you think that little bit though, you can actually see that. So like if you didn't know that was there, would you notice that it's vignetted?
yeah,
Yeah? All right. I like the look. So I'm gonna leave it. So it's my image. I will take Stephen's feedback, but I will keep my vignette.
you're taking the advisement.
I will take it under advisement. All right. Is there anything else that you would do to this image?
Nah, that's good enough for now.
All right. So from here, you've got a few options. If you want to go ahead and take this into Photoshop, you're working on something else, you want to use some of the other tools that are in Photoshop, go ahead and just click open here, open it in full Photoshop, do your layered workflow. However you want to do it, you're good to go. If you are good with it just here, if you're just doing a photo editing workflow and you just want to use Camera Raw, what you do is go up here to the top to this little export button. And I've got a couple of presets that I've already worked in here. And I've got my Mylio display images. So a display image, what this does is it takes your edits, bakes them into, either for me, I have it as a JPEG or a TIFF, and it appends _display to the file name, which tells Mylio to stack it on top of your original. Your original is still there, your original is still synced, your original is still safe, but it gives you the display, your edited version, on top of your original. So you have that option. You can do it as a JPEG, you can do it as a TIFF. For something like this, I would probably do a TIFF just because I like having the additional archival file. You also have the option to save it next to the original. So if you do not append the _display, so if you just want to have the TIFF next to your original, you can go ahead and take that. You see there's nothing here changing the document name. And the setting here that's crucial is we're saving it in the same location. From there, you can choose whatever file format you want, add in really anything else here in this dialog that you want. I'm going to go ahead and put this as a TIFF next to the original, and I'm going to hit save. And then once I've done that, I can go down here and click done and switch back over to Mylio. We're going to go back to the grid, and there's my edit right next to it. It's not always that instantaneous. I do love when it is during a demo, but what happens is Mylio is constantly scanning the folders that it sees. So any of the folders that you've told Mylio to watch, it's watching those for changes. So it picked up that change right away. And now I have my edited version here right inside of Mylio. Now I'm going to do one other cool thing here is I'm going to pull up Mylio on my phone real quick. And I'm going to find that picture. And just to make my life easy, I'm going to call this SDG. There we go. So now I can go onto my phone and let me share the screen here. And I'm going to do a little search. And we're going to go SD, if I can type here. And there's that image. And I can assure you the way it's rendering on my phone, the colors look correct on my phone. For some reason, the Air server version here that is showing on the screen, the colors look wonked out. On my actual phone, it does not. So, Stephen, if you want to put my actual camera up on the screen for a second, I can show that because right now the side-by-side looks really not good.
Yeah, but okay, actual. What do you mean by actual? Hold on a second.
So, but switch to where you can see me on the screen.
Oh, gotcha.
Because I've got my phone here held up in front of me.
Oh, I see. Got it. Actually, hold on a second. Let me stay right there. Don't go anywhere. If I do this, that's me. Why is it not doing you? If I double click. Yeah, the problem is I can maximize it to my camera, but I can't maximize it to yours. I don't think.
Huh. Well, no worries. But just to assure you, the colors, I know what's streaming right now for whatever reason on this version through Air Server, the
Yeah.
colors don't look correct. It matches identically on my phone. So just to kind of let you know, but that's what's happened. I was able to that fast.
Oh,
This
that's
edit that I
great.
just did in Photoshop on my computer, I can then pull it up that fast on my phone. And that can be from across town too. So if I did this edit and then later on I want to show somebody, hey, look what I just did, I can go ahead and pull that up that easily. So editing with Photoshop or whatever else that you want to use is ridiculously easy. Get that turned off of there. Perfect. And like I said, I can take this from Photo Open With. Now that this is a TIFF file, I have other options here that I can open with. And you also have your regular layered workflow inside of Photoshop. So if you go into Photoshop and you want to use plugins in Photoshop or you want to use other utilities, you can absolutely do that there and then save it back as a TIFF or a PSD back to that same folder, and it'll come right back here into Mylio and synchronize across all of your devices. So editing with Mylio is not a huge shift to your workflow. The biggest change is going to be for somebody who's coming from a Lightroom world and you want to get everything into Mylio. It's a little bit of a shift to start editing in Photoshop and Camera Raw as opposed to editing in Lightroom. But I assure you, you have all of the same tools. And a lot of times Photoshop will be putting new tools into Camera Raw to test, like to get people's feedback on before they ever make it into Lightroom or Lightroom Classic. So you get a little bit of a workflow boost actually by going this way. And you still have the tools that you're familiar with. It doesn't completely uproot what you usually do. It's just changing it moderately, and it gives you the access to get to everything no matter what. So, Stephen, you've been using Mylio now for a little while. What is your experience so far with the workflow?
In terms of organizing well, let me put it this way. In terms of the raw editing capabilities, like you mentioned, we'll stay in Photoshop for that.
Yep.
I'm more interested in being able to find my photos. I'm a fine arts photographer as well.
Right.
Maybe I should turn on the camera so we can see both of us here. Um, I'm a fine art photographer as well, so I've got a lot of photos from some of my Eastern Sierra workshop trips, my Death Valley, Yosemite, wherever I'm going. I've got them organized and categorized. And my challenge is that oftentimes I can't find stuff that I
Mm-hmm.
know that I have. And this, I think, really helps because it's basically scouring everything across all my devices. Because sometimes I'll start playing around between different devices, between my laptop, between my desktop, or wherever they may be. And this really helps me quite a bit. So I'm
Yeah.
still learning on how to become better organized using the Mylio platform. Um, but I have right now I rely quite a bit also on my personal workflow where I've got my own personal little server. I got everything organized there. But once that's organized, then Mylio just comes in and consolidates it all.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. Does that answer your question?
It does, yeah. I'm just curious, where you're finding the most value, and the search and being able to find things quickly and easily
Yeah.
is really, it's that everyday use, being able to get to the things you want when you need it and being able to do it from any of the devices you're using. Again, jumping back and forth between two computers, that's something that Lightroom has never been good at. The kind of quasi
Right.
workaround some people have is to put their actual catalog on
Right.
the external drive with their photos, but it's
Yeah.
really slow.
Yeah.
It
Lightroom
is
doesn't.
not an ideal workflow.
Yeah.
And even that has its hiccups.
Yeah, Lightroom doesn't do that. Lightroom relies on your catalog, and your catalog is a central database location on the drive that you're working on. It always has been that case. So
Yeah,
this is a very different workflow. Something that I find to be more practical to all artists. This is not just a photographer's thing. This is an
correct.
artist thing. So for those people out there, like I know Jason Mandala is here. He's a digital painter.
Yep.
We got a friend of ours, Lee Cozy, is a digital painter. All that is relates. It will identify all that stylized work, photography,
Absolutely. Well, and then
3D.
coming later this year, we're going to have some expanded file support. So today, you've got your photos, your videos, and some documents. We will have expanded file support for things like vector files, things like those third-party sidecars or the ACR files, things like that. So it just will keep getting better. So especially for somebody who's a digital artist, where this is going to be so incredibly powerful. All right. So let's switch gears a little bit here and jump back into the presentation and talk about the Mylio preview. So I've teased a few times that we've got something big coming at Mylio. What we've done is we've taken the last several years of user feedback. We've got a really active Mylio community, a user forum where some of our longest running customers and some of our most technical customers hang out. And they've given us over the years quite a lot of feedback. Little usability things like, I can do this in Bridge, why can't I do it in Mylio? Or I can do this in Lightroom, why can't I do it in Mylio? And we've taken all of that on board. And while it's taken a little while for us to do that and a really, really major ground up rebuild of the software, we have been accomplishing that. So I'm going to show you today the alpha version of this. I'm not going to call it a beta because it hasn't yet gone out to people outside of our company. But we have been demoing this now for the last month and building up some content. And what we're doing here in the next couple of weeks is there will be a preview version that we're going to be releasing the public can play with. This is going to be a sandbox version. This is not for your production library. This is not where you do actual work. You can import some of your own pictures and play with them, but this is going to be a short-term version that expires probably August, September, and you can give us feedback. So dig in, let us know what works, let us know what's broken, let us know what functionality you need that's missing. And there's a good chance that we will take that feedback on and we will do our best to get that into the application. Now, there's some really niche things that people have asked for that, kind of infringe on other companies' proprietary stuff. We have to be careful with that. But
SquareDoc has a question.
Yeah.
Comment here. You keep saying we. Are you a consultant for Mylio?
Great question. I mentioned at the beginning, I am a product evangelist for Mylio. That is my full-time day job. So yes, I work for Mylio, and my job at Mylio is to teach people how to use the software. So yes, full disclosure, I work for them.
So you're head of education as well?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I write technical documentation. So we have a full product manual. I wrote the product manual. I do, around 3+ live streams every week. People are welcome to drop in, ask questions, and I help them through whatever it is they need. So I work directly for the head of product. So as I get feedback from customers, I'm giving him all of that information, and that's what's making it into the product. So it's a really cool position to be in, that I can actually affect what this is becoming. Spoiler alert, I'm making it into the best digital asset manager that I want to use. So that's what we're trying to do, is just make sure that this works well for everybody. But yeah, the things that I come across every day that I'm like, gosh, I wish it could do that. Well, guess what? This next version has fulfilled almost all of those things for me. So I'm really excited to see that come to fruition. So what we're going to be doing here is the Mylio preview should be shipping within the next few weeks. This is for testing and feedback only. The full release is expected in the fall, so probably somewhere around Black Friday, a little bit before. And this is the culmination of 2 or more years of customer feedback. So you can expect a faster, more stable application, more locally run AI integrations. We're adding in a ton of new AI features, and it's going to be all stuff that can run locally on your machine. You will have the option to connect into other AI services like Claude or ChatGPT or whatever. I believe, like the MCP server integrations. I haven't seen that yet, but there's a lot of stuff coming for that. But you have the option to keep it all local on your machine and private for those who really value that. There'll be expanded file support, expanded platform support, some really amazing interface and UI improvements. Your workflow will still continue to be accessible through all of your Pro Tools that you're used to using. And there's going to be some changes to where you can actually keep the UI even simpler or have access to all of the expert tools. I'll show you that here in a minute. It's really cool. Some more advanced metadata options. If you're really into metadata and you go into Bridge and you look at all of the different metadata options that you can put into a file in Bridge, you'll now be able to do that in Mylio too. There's also some improved third-party integrations for Lightroom Classic. So if you love Lightroom Classic and you want to still keep that part of your workflow, you will be able to do that much more smoothly. It also works with Frame.io. The application today also works with Frame.io. So if you're using that in your workflow, Apple Photos, and many, many more. So to close some of the gaps that are in the current application that are coming is that third-party sidecar support. So if you're using Camera Raw heavily and you're using those AI masking techniques and things like that, you're probably creating a lot of those ACR files. Those will be able to be synced and have a tighter workflow with Mylio. Also other plugins like ON1, Radiant, and so forth, their proprietary sidecars will also be supported. As far as those who use Lightroom, there's going to be a really cool Lightroom integration. I've been testing this. I actually spent most of this last week in-depth testing this feature, and it's still a little rough around the edges, but it lets me connect a Lightroom catalog. All of the metadata travels back and forth. Right now, today, in the Mylio that you can download today, Lightroom doesn't necessarily play nice with metadata that's added someplace else. So if you add metadata in Mylio and it goes to that industry standard XMP, Lightroom doesn't play nice with that because it wants to still look at everything that's in its catalog. It's that catalog system that makes this a little bit crazy. In this new version, Mylio is actually talking to that catalog, and it can actually have a really nice tight integration. So some very cool stuff coming there. And again, you get the best of both worlds. You can have your existing workflow, and you can add in the benefits of Mylio, where you can get to stuff from various devices. So from there, let me go ahead and jump over into the Mylio preview. And right now I've got a sample library pulled up. It has a mix of my images and some of my other coworkers here at Mylio. And this is what we've got for the new version. You can see that it's similar. Some of the things that we've really focused on changing, this has a lot more accessibility options. So for people who like to have more text, you can actually have this fly open and you can have the names of your tools all sitting right here instead of having icons. Or you can go with a more minimalist view. You can change the color of the background. You can change the text size. So lots of little accessibility features that aren't possible today. So that makes it already a lot easier to use. Being able to collapse this down and have a nice compact workflow is great. You also have the option here to go from whatever mode that you want. So if you are someone who just wants to get things done, you don't like a lot of clutter on your screen, you can switch to the quick mode. If you want to have help, you want to have it guide you through, and you want to have access to more things, but you don't necessarily need all the things, switch to the guided workflow. Or I like to hang out an expert or actually turn this off, and that gives you access to everything. So depending on who you are and how you like to work and what you need, not everybody needs every single tool, right? And seeing all of the options all on the screen all at once, especially when you're starting with a new tool, can be very, very overwhelming. So quick or guided is great if you're just getting started. If you've been using Mylio for a while and you want access to everything, go ahead and choose expert or just turn the experience levels off. And each of these changes what you see. From here, we can go ahead and jump to collections. And this is a new view where you see every collection, every grouping that's in your library. So you can have your people, you can have your albums, and the Mylio preview now has smart albums. So much like your smart collections in Lightroom, you can have filter and search-based collections that automatically update as you add more media that meets those criteria. You have your folders, your same folder system, all of that file connection that we talked about, that applies in the new version as well. You've got some shortcuts here to things like recent days, your events that you can create, different places. This is based on your GPS location information. You can set up things that are called memories. These are kind of like smart albums. And then at a quick click here, you can get to all sorts of different filtering and media types within your library. So you want to get always to just your raw photos, jump there to see your raw. You can see it puts it up here in a pill at the top, and you can immediately filter your library very quickly. Up here along the top, you've got your ratings, flags, and color labels. So let's say we only want to see our 4-star and 5-star images. There we go. You've got your pick flags. And then we have our advanced filter browser here. So you can go in and filter by a lot of different criteria. You can search those right here so you don't always have to remember what they are, because frankly, none of us remember exactly what is in every single one of those drop downs all the time. So there's a lot of different ways that you can interact and find things inside of your library. Let me go ahead and close that back up and close the filter browser. So we've got our collections. Again, we have our calendar view, which is that same calendar based on when something was taken. If you want to find things based on when it happened, this is the best view for that. We have our map view. So we've upgraded the map. It's much more modern looking, and you can go ahead and click on a picture, see all the pictures from that particular location. You've got navigation up at the top here, back, forward buttons that behave the way you expect. If you go down into your folders view or even albums, you now have a really nice hierarchy. So you can go ahead and jump into a folder. Let's go in here, organized by year. You'll see we now have breadcrumbs across the top. And each one of these is a pivot point to get to other parts of your library. So this makes it a lot easier just to get around. It's really basic stuff, but things that will make your life a lot easier. Another thing that was just recently added that I'm really excited about, I take a lot of bracketed images because I like to merge them into HDR, or maybe you do panoramas, or you do time lapse, or you do, star trails or something like that. You could go ahead and grab that group of images, right click on those, and you can now stack them. And you can have those stacked here in your library. So you can organize and make things visually as appealing as you want. And just about everything in this interface is customizable. Let's say you go in here and you never, maybe your work doesn't have anything to do with family history. You don't want to see the family tree, which this is pretty cool. We're not going to get into that today, but you can have family history stuff in here. But maybe that's not something you do. So go ahead and open this up, click on this little customize, and uncheck family tree. That removes it from that sidebar. You don't have to look at it. So you can make this into the tool that you need. Maybe folders are the most important thing in your workflow. Go ahead and grab that, and where'd my folders go? And you can grab that and drag that to the top of the list. So you can customize this however you like, whatever works best for you. So I accidentally unchecked that, so let's pull folders back. There's my folders. I can click and drag that to the top of the list. Maybe I even want that above library. And I can go ahead and do that. And there's my folders right there at the top. So however you want to interact with this, it is set up to be able to work with whatever it is you're trying to do. We've made some really cool new tools here. We've got a great culling tool that's coming. That is going to be probably either later this year or early next. And this is going to be on par with something like the AI culling in Lightroom or Aftershoot or things like that. You're going to be able to go through a huge batch of images and use AI to bring those down to the very best images. We've got a really awesome cleanup tool here. So if you're trying to clean up messy things on your computer, you can find everything that's exact duplicates. You can do this in Mylio today with the exact duplicates. What's new here is visual duplicates. So this is going to group together similar photos that are not exactly the same. So for instance, here's 2 images. They're different file names. You can tell they were taken slightly time apart, so they're not the same image. 2 moon photos that are similar but not the same. And then you can use that uses AI to go ahead and clean those up and figure out which one or ones you want to keep. There is bursts and sequences. So if you're doing a lot of rapid fire shots, maybe you're doing sports photography, something like that. All of these things are tools to help you clean up, and it'll tell you right at the top here how much space you can save, and it'll scan your entire library and give you suggestions for what you can clean up. So lots of really cool tools there. Face search is a really fun tool for finding faces, specific faces in photos. So great, of course, for family photos, but if you're doing event photography, if you're doing portrait photography, finding the pictures of specific people or specific people together, that's a great tool for that. And then again, Memory Maker is more geared towards families, but this is going to allow you to use AI to define who, what, where, when, and build a smart album based on that particular memory. So that's a really fun tool as well. So lots of new stuff here in the Mylio preview. I truly hope you guys will take some time in the next couple of weeks when it's available to download it. We've also been putting a lot of education about this into the Mylio community. So if you go to community.mylio.com, you can see videos, articles, all sorts of stuff we've been producing about this to help people get acquainted with this. You'll see over here, I've got the Lightroom integration turned on right now that I'm in a different library than the one that I have connected. But you can see that you can connect and have things go back and forth, which is really, really cool. All right, let's see here. Any questions that are popping up? I don't think there's anything else there. All righty. Any questions about the preview? What about you, Stephen? Anything that you want to add?
No, not at all. Go ahead.
All right. All right, so let's go ahead and start to wrap things up and tie it all together. So hopefully you guys are excited about what we're bringing with the Mylio preview. This is going to be the photo management application that I want to use. Mylio today is great, but it has some gaps. This new version that we're working on, that we're going to be getting out later this year, is absolutely amazeballs, and I cannot wait to get it into everybody's hands. I'm so excited. And I'm really, it's really, I hate using the word excited too much, but it's really exciting to have had a say in the direction of where it's going to. Software development is a crazy business and it's really chaotic, but I absolutely love it. And yeah, it's so much fun. So let's go ahead and tie this all together. So bringing it back to having a library that makes sense, being able to find what you need when you need it, and having everything be all safe and secure. So the three things that I really want you to walk away with today is the concept of the 3-2-1 backup. Make sure you have at least 3 copies of your stuff on at least 2 different types of media, with one of them offsite. This applies to everybody and every computer you have. Doesn't matter if you're a Mylio user or not. Doesn't matter what software you use. Anything that's on your machine that's important to you that you don't want to lose, make sure you have at least 3 copies with them on 2 different types of media, and ideally keeping one of them offsite. That offsite copy is your disaster protection. The local copies, those are for, your computer crashes, your hard drive crashes, something like that. These things happen, and removing the stress of that by making sure you have a backup locally and offsite is game changing. It will take such a weight off your mind. It's just, I can't recommend it enough. So 3-2-1 backup, that's the first thing I want you to take away. The second thing I want you to remember is that sync and backup are not the same thing. Sync is replication, and that does give you some level of protection. So if a hard drive fails, having another drive that has that same stuff on it, that's great. That protects you against device failure. What a backup does is it protects you from human error. If something happens and you don't realize right away, a backup is what saves you, because you can step back in time and grab those files that you might have accidentally deleted, or somebody else who had control of your machine, your kids, your spouse, somebody else. I'm not saying anybody's doing things maliciously here, although that happens too. A backup is what protects you in those scenarios. So something that is versioned, that you can step back to a state from yesterday or the day before or a month before, and be able to pull those files that something might have inadvertently happened to. Both of these things are very, very important. And the trap that I don't want anybody to fall into is thinking that because their phone is backed up to iCloud, that is actually a true backup. That is sync. And if you make a mistake in one place, that change gets synchronized to the cloud. And if that's your only copy, you have no way to go back in time to fix that. The third thing is creating a unified library. And this is where Mylio comes in really handy. Now, you can do this with other software too. You can bring in all the stuff from your phone into Lightroom. It's kind of tedious. It's not the best process, but it is possible. But Mylio makes this really easy. So you bring everything into one unified library that does a couple of things for you. One, it gives you one place to search. So when you're looking for a specific image, you don't have to go, oh gosh, where did I put that? Is that on my phone? or was that in Dropbox, or did I put that into Lightroom? I don't remember. So you have 3 places in that case where you have to go check and try to figure out where that image went. If you're pulling everything all into one unified library, that is one place to search. Another benefit of that is, especially with your phone photos, this helps with the sync and backup issue, because you're taking your pictures from your phone, from that cloud version, and you're creating a local copy that you own and that you control. So you can then take that copy and you can back it up properly. You can have that replication, you can have those version backups, and you have control at that point. You're not relying on a single point of failure. And that's what really all of this comes back to, is making sure that with the things that are really important to you, you have multiple levels in place, so there's not one single place where things can fail and you lose everything. So the action plan that you have for today is, ideally, go download Mylio and create your unified library. Start working on getting everything all into one place so you can search everything all at once. If you're able, use Mylio's Vault system to create at least 2 Vault devices. And this is going to be 2 separate devices that hold your entire library. Go out and get a couple of really, really big, inexpensive drives. These do not have to be the fastest, or they definitely don't need to be SSDs. SSDs are great for your working library, but for your massive library, for your archive, it doesn't have to be on a super fast drive. So Mylio Vaults don't have to be super fast.
No Seagate.
No Seagate. If you say so. All right, so get your stuff on Vaults. Then work on creating a local backup. If you are a Mac user and you're not using Time Machine, tell me why. I think Time Machine is one of the greatest things. Now, doesn't have a whole lot of whiz-bang features, but it is a very basic tool that's built into your system that does one job really well. And that is making version backups that you can take that Time Machine drive. If your computer crashes, plug it into a new computer, and you can rebuild your entire machine from that one drive. It just does it really well. File History on Windows does a very similar job. You could use third-party software like Carbon Copy Cloner or something else, but create that local backup so your system-wide, everything on your system, all of the important things, you have at least one copy locally that you can restore from if necessary. Once that's done, think about that offsite backup. If you've got a great system, so Steven, sounds like you've got a really great local backup system going on, adding in that last piece for that offsite backup, creating that system-wide offsite backup is going to protect you against your human error. It's going to protect you against theft and natural disasters. So you can rest a little bit more easily knowing that when you're away from home, if something happens to your house, it would be horrific to lose everything, but you know at least your stuff on your computer, your artwork, the things that you've created, those are in the cloud and you can restore them. And then finally, the last step for all of this is to schedule a quarterly check for yourself. So put it into your calendar, your reminders app, to every 3 months, do a quick overview of what you've got set up. Take inventory of your drives. See what drives you have. Kind of make note of how old are they? How full are they? If you've got a drive that's starting to get full and looking like, okay, maybe I've only got 500 gigs left on this one, or 200, or whatever your personal threshold is, start planning for getting a new one to replace it. If you have a drive that's starting to make weird noises, weird clicking noises, and things like it didn't used to do, consider replacing it. And this allows you to get ahead of problems before they happen. So setting up that quarterly check just makes your life that much better. And again, alleviates a lot of worry and concern for your digital assets. So let's go ahead and transition to our winners. So I want to thank those of you who were active in the chat and asked some really good questions today. I have 2 licenses for Mylio Photos to give out. The way this is going to work is if you're chosen, you're going to need to email me at angela@mylio.com, or you can email my personal email, which I'll have on the next slide as well, or reach out to Steven, any one of those ways. And we have a coupon code for you, so we'll get that to you. And then I'm going to go here and take a look at the chat real quick and see who we've got.
I think it's pretty obvious. We've got, let's see.
I think SquareDoc is definitely a winner.
SquareDoc is definitely a winner, and there was one other which I think was, let me go.
Sunflower.
Sunflower, that was it.
Yep, I think Sunflower and Square Doc are our winners today. So Sunflower 308 and Square Doc. If you could email me at angela@myleo.com or
Type it into the chat box, and I
oh
will.
yeah, you can put your email address into the chat. We'll grab it that way too. Whatever you're comfortable with. Some people don't want to put their email address into a public chat, so I get that.
I meant that for you.
Oh, put my email address into the chat.
Put your email in the chat, and I will put it on to Twitch.
Let's see here. Where would I put that into the private chat?
Yeah, put it in private chat, and I'll copy and paste it.
Perfect. So there's angela@myleo.com. So
All right.
Stephen can see that.
Find that real. Okay. Let's go to. Okay, this is weird.
All right. While you're working on that, for anybody else who is interested in trying out Myleo Photos, there is a 7-day free trial, and you can go ahead and enter MYPH-SDPUG-20 to get 20% off your Myleo Photos Plus subscription. And this is good for any subscription, not just the individual licenses. You could do a family plan. You could do it for your team, for your business, and get 20% off anything on any of our subscriptions. So go ahead and check that out. Hopefully that is helpful for you guys. I really look forward to hearing if you guys give that a try. Square Dog, I'm glad you're excited. Perfect. Let me go ahead and I'm going to copy that right now.
All right, so I'm posting up Angela's email address now, which is now showing. Okay, so we got one more giveaway we want to do. Okay, so
Yep.
Let's not neglect that. Now, what I'm going to do is this, and everybody here can participate. So I should see a whole bunch of comments on this one. I'm going to take my little notepad here, and I'm going to make a new tab, and I'm going to type in a number from 1 to 50. I'm going to type in a number from 1 to 50. Whoever gets close to that number will win the 5-week Photoshop workshop, which is going to start up August 20th. Okay, so I'm typing in the number now. I'm done. Okay, now everybody type into the chat box your number. Now, actually, I'm gonna stop sharing Angela's screen so I can share my screen now. And I'm gonna share my screen. Everybody type into the chat box their number from 1 to 50. Let's see, what do we got here? I took yours off. I'm gonna go and add mine on. Stop screens. Okay, let me do this here. Share screen. Share the entire screen. And share. Let me minimize my client work here so no one sees that. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, so let me take this off. All right, so we've got numbers. So I'm going to go up here. We've got, okay, so we have 37, 17, 41, and 25. Okay, so I'm going to show you my number. Let me enlarge it so it's easier for you guys to see. I'll go to title version. In fact, yeah, that's fine. Okay, here we go. So I'm dragging over my box. My number is 49. So the closest to that will be Mike.
Yep.
Mike 997C4S. You win. All right, so Mike, I'm going to put in my email address into the chat box. Email me so that I can get you on, put you on the mailing list for this August 20th coming up. Steve at chromeillusion.com there. Okay, that's my email address. Congratulations. Well, this is fantastic.
So Steve, if you could put my screen back up one more time. I've got one more slide.
Absolutely. I'm going to remove mine and add Angela because let me take off my, there we go.
So perfect. I just wanted to kind of close things out and thank everybody for letting me ramble on about Mylio and about backup and things like that. I know it's not the most glamorous of topics, but I think it's really, really important. So if you have questions going forward, please feel free to reach out to me. That is my personal email address up on the screen, angela@angelaandrew.com. You can also find my website and my various social profiles that I'm active on. Please also feel free to scan that QR code that's up on the screen. My website, so angelaandrew.com/SDPUG. What that's going to do is take you to a page that has the slide deck from today. So if you want to go back over the slides, I always feel bad for people who are sitting there with their cameras taking pictures of slides to a presentation. So if you want to see my slide deck and review it at your own pace, feel free to go back and you can look at it there or download it. And then there's links to a couple of things that I think might be helpful. There's a link to Mylio. There's a reminder of the discount code if you want to get that 20% off, and so forth. So just a handful of things there. There's an article I wrote on 321 backup. So a handful of resources. Feel free to go check that out. And I hope to hear from you guys. If you follow me on Instagram, I will follow back. So hopefully I can see kind of what you guys work on and get to know you a little bit better. So thank you again for listening. And thank you, Stephen, for inviting me.
Well, Angela, you were absolutely awesome. And you sat there worried about you weren't going to have enough content to fill. You took up the whole damn thing. And you wouldn't stop. And on top of that, you like talking fast too. And you gave us a lot of information and you still filled the whole thing. God, I don't want to hear it anymore. I don't care. I don't have enough information.
I was stressed. 3 hours sounds like a really long time. I'm used to presenting in like an hour. And yeah, I talk fast.
I'm used to presenting like 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours. Usually my classes at the colleges are about 4 hours long. So, so before we all go, this is important. There is a artist reception tonight, and I'm going to share my screen, which I'm going to add that to stage. I got to get yours off stage and add me to stage. Cool. All right. So tonight, and I'm gonna copy and paste the address. There is a digital art show happening here in San Diego. It's in Escondido. I'm going to give you the address of the location. I'm going to copy it now. It's the Escondido Arts Partnership. I will place that into the chat box now. All right. This is the address. And I'm going to show you a little bit more information. So I'm going to go to the photo. So the Escondido Arts Partnership. Now, there's a digital art show happening there where myself and Larry Vogel are the curators for the show. So this is our personal show. And we sent out an invite to artists all over to submit their work. The Escondido Arts Partnership, and I'm kind of showing you the. Let me see if I can maximize this a little better here. If I double click it, something like that. Yeah, it's a beautiful gallery, absolutely beautiful gallery. They've given us the main gallery, the largest part of the gallery. Has been given to us to show this digital art show. These are just pictures of past shows and some of the interiors here. It's a fabulous gallery, and this is going to be a really good show. My work will be there as well. So tonight is when it happens. 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. is an artist reception. This is another reception here that's showing. 4 to 6 p.m. on Grand, all right? So 262 East Grand Avenue, Escondido. The Escondido Arts Partnership. So is some more interior shots of another show inside the body of the gallery. And I'm so honored. I mean, this it's one of the prominent galleries in San Diego. And when I was asked to curate a digital art show, I was just overly joyed. So I'm proud of this show. I'm proud of the artists that are that we've chosen for this show. And definitely proud of the work in the show. And this is an opportunity to come and see and greet the artists and support them. A lot of the artists in this show are from our user group. Everybody here, so from the Photoshop users group. So um, come and support them. Support the group as well. So okay, so I guess we're done. Angela's got her winners.
Yep.
I have
I
my
still need an
winners.
email address from Sunflower. So
Okay,
either email me or pop it into the chat and I'll grab it.
right.
And
Don't
then
forget.
one last plug. What was
Yeah.
that?
Don't. I was
So one
telling you.
last plug. I am the president of the Dark Rumors Photographic Club. So if you're in the San Diego area, you want to come check us out, go to darkrumors.com.
Right.
And if you're looking for something to do tomorrow, we are having an exhibition and artist reception at the Coronado Public Library from 2 to 4 p.m. So
Yes.
another really cool opportunity to come out and see some photographic art. Personally, I've got 2 images up in that exhibition, but there are, I think, 21 or so images up, and it's going to be a really nice one. The theme is Where We Wander. So it's different places where we wander close to home or abroad and how we see the world.
Where we wander, it should be to my Death Valley workshop. Angela's coming to Death
I'm
Valley
coming.
with us. Yeah, Angela and Mom, we got a bunch great shooters in the workshop. Hey,
Yep.
so here, my website, I've made some changes. Chromolution.com. I'm going to give you guys the direct link. Um, basically, if you go, I'm going to give you the link right now. I'm going to put it into the chat box. Um, there's still room in both the Death Valley workshop, photography workshop, 3.5 day workshops, and the Eastern Sierra. So if you go to the workshops here on my website, as you can see, and go to photography, you'll see the workshop. So Eastern Sierra is October 6th to the 9th. Only allow 8 people in the class. We're staying in an Airbnb for the Eastern Sierra. Death Valley, we're staying at Death Valley Inn. Um, check these out, and they're inexpensive. And I'm going to give you guys a discount code now. So discount code is SDPUG. When I'm typing, that's why I'm looking down. 2026, and that is a discount code. Okay, it'll take a percentage off of the in any of the workshops, any of the classes. Now, anybody interested in the 5 week Photoshop class, just come up here to the top, go to the Photoshop classes link. Um, the next one starts August 20th, as I mentioned earlier, and these are all 5 week classes on Zoom live. Everybody's live on Zoom. Every class is recorded, so that when I give you homework for that particular week, we meet 5 weeks in a row, then you've got that recording to rely on in case you forget anything. After that ends, we've got the intermediate in October, which is the Welcome Tablet, and this is where we introduce the AI workflow in Photoshop, as well as the Welcome Tablet workflow. Then we've got the Advanced Master Class, November 12th. That one's going to be very, very interesting. Those who've taken my advanced class or intermediate class will take this one. This is a new class, new content, and Angela, you should definitely be in that one as well. It's I call it the master class. It's not the standard advanced class. It's the master class. So
All
a
right. I'll
lot of
think about it.
compositing work, a lot of compositing, a lot of understanding perspective, going back to the basic foundations of art, not relying on AI, so that a lot of AI